Katie Morgan stood in front of the massive viewing window of Nexus Prime Station and watched ships from 100 different worlds dock at the ports below. Some ships looked like giant crystals that sparkled in the starlight. Others moved like flowing water made of metal. A few seemed to be made of pure light that hurt to look at directly. She had been Earth's ambassador for only 3 months, but she already felt very small in this place. The other species were so different from humans. Most of them were much bigger, stronger, or had natural weapons that could cut through steel. Katie was just a woman from Ohio, who used to teach high school before the aliens found Earth. The door, behind her, made a soft sound as it opened. Captain Ryan Brooks walked in wearing his blue uniform with the Earth symbol on the shoulder. His pilot Lucy Adams and engineer Pete Collins followed him. They had just arrived on the exploration ship, UES Horizon. "How are the talks going?" Ryan asked as he stood next to Katie at the window. Katie let out a long breath. "They think we're weak, all of them. They keep offering to put human colonies on safe worlds far away from any danger. They talk to me like I'm a child who might get hurt." Lucy laughed and shook her head. "Safe worlds? That sounds boring." "It's not funny," Katie said. "They think humans are prey animals. They group us with species that eat plants and run from everything. Yesterday, a Zalathi delegate asked me if humans have any natural defenses at all. When I said we don't have claws or poisonous teeth, he looked sorry for me." Pete walked over to look at the ships outside. "What makes them think they're so tough?" "They're all predators," Katie explained. "At least the important ones are. The Zalathi are 8 feet tall with claws that can cut through rock. The Vorthak are made of living crystal that nothing can break. The Luminari can burn things just by touching them. Every major species in the Galactic Federation earned their place by being the top hunter on their home planet." Ryan crossed his arms. "And they think we can't hunt?" "They don't think we hunt at all. They assume humans gather fruit and maybe catch small fish. When I told them we used to hunt mammoths, they didn't believe me. They said mammoths were too big and humans are too small." The group was quiet for a moment. Then Lucy started to smile. "Did you tell them how we hunted the mammoths?" "I tried to explain it, but I don't think they understood. The translator kept having problems with some of the words." Pete grinned. "I bet it had trouble with the word marathon." Before Katie could answer, the door opened again. A tall figure walked in that made all the humans step back. It was Ambassador Thexdal of the Zalathi. He stood almost 9 feet tall, and his dark gray skin looked like it was made of thick leather. His hands ended in claws that were longer than human fingers. His face had too many teeth, and his yellow eyes were set wide apart like a crocodile's. "Ah, the humans are here," Thexdal said in a voice that sounded like gravel falling down a mountain. "Good. The council wanted me to speak with you about the Cathara situation." Katie tried not to show that she was nervous. "What about them?" "They have been attacking colonies in the outer regions. 3 worlds have been lost in the past month. We wanted to make sure your people understand to stay away from those areas. The Cathara are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Even we Zalathi avoid them when possible." Ryan stepped forward. "What makes them so dangerous?" Thexdal's eyes focused on Ryan like he was looking at an interesting bug. "They are perfect hunters, fast, strong, and they never give up once they start chasing prey. They can run for hours without getting tired. Their claws can cut through. Most armor and their breath is poison. No species has ever successfully fought them off in a direct attack." "How do other species deal with them?" Lucy asked. "We hide. We build strong walls and wait for them to leave. Sometimes we give them what they want so they will go away. It is the only way to survive against such predators." Pete looked confused. "But you're predators too. Can't you fight them?" Thexdal made a sound that might have been laughter. "Young human, there are different kinds of predators. We Zalathi are ambush hunters. We hide and strike fast. Then the hunt is over. The Vorthak crush their prey quickly with their crystal bodies. The Luminari burn their enemies in seconds. But the Cathara are pursuit predators. They chase their prey until it falls down from being too tired to run. That is the most terrible kind of hunting." The humans looked at each other. Katie saw something in their eyes that she recognized but couldn't name. Pursuit predators, Ryan said slowly. They chase things until the prey gets too tired to keep running. Yes, it is a horrible way to die. The prey knows the hunter is coming but cannot escape. The Kithara will follow for days if needed. They never stop. They never get tired. They just keep coming until their prey collapses. Danny Martinez, the science officer from Ryan's ship, had been quiet until now. That's interesting, he said. Humans used to hunt that way too. Thexidal's big head turned toward Danny. I do not understand. Persistence hunting. It's how early humans caught big animals on Earth. We would pick an animal and just start running after it. The animal would run away fast, but we would keep following. After a few hours, the animal would be too tired to run anymore. Then we would catch it. The Zalathi ambassador stared at Danny for a long moment. Then he made that grinding laugh sound. Again. You make jokes, small human. Humans are not built for hunting. You have no claws, no fangs, no poison, no thick skin. You are soft and weak. Pursuit hunting requires incredible stamina and the ability to track prey for many miles. Only the most fearsome predators can do such things. But we did do it, Danny said quietly. For thousands of years. We could run down horses, deer, even big cats if we had to. There are tribes on Earth that still hunt that way. Thexidal looked at Katie. Your translator is still having problems, I think. Perhaps we should speak of other things. Katie felt a strange feeling in her chest. It was like anger, but not quite. Our translator is working fine. Danny is telling the truth. Humans are persistence hunters. Impossible, Thexidal said, but his voice sounded less certain. If humans were pursuit predators, you would be the most feared species in the galaxy. Pursuit predators are the ultimate hunters. They are the reason we have nightmares. Lucy smiled, and Katie suddenly knew what that look in her eyes had been. It was the look of a hunter that had just found prey. Maybe, Lucy said. You don't know humans as well as you think you do. 3 months after the meeting at Nexus Prime, Lisa Grant was having the worst day of her life. She stood in the command center of New Haven Colony and watched red dots appear on the big screen in front of her. Each red dot was a Kithara ship, and there were hundreds of them. How long until they reach the planet? She asked the young man at the communications desk. 6 hours, ma'am, he replied. His hands were shaking as he typed on his keyboard. Lisa had been the Colonial Defense Coordinator for New Haven for 2 years. The job was usually boring. She checked security reports, made sure the fences around the farming areas were strong enough to keep out the local animals, and filed paperwork. She never thought she would have to fight off the galaxy's most feared predators. New Haven was home to 50,000 humans. It was a nice place with green fields, small cities, and mountains that reminded people of Earth. The colonists had built good lives there. They had farms, schools, and factories. Some had been born on New Haven and had never seen Earth. Now all of that was about to end. Lisa's radio buzzed. Ma'am, this is Colonel Jake Phillips. My Marines are in position around the colony. But I have to tell you, we can't win this fight if we try to do it the normal way. Jake was the head of the colony's military forces. He was a good soldier who had served on Earth before coming to New Haven. His Marines were well trained, but there were only 500 of them. What do you mean, the normal way? Lisa asked. The aliens expect us to hide behind walls and wait for help that isn't coming. The Galactic Federation has already written us off as lost. They think the Kithara will kill us all or take us as slaves, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Lisa looked at the screen again. The red dots were getting closer. So what do you suggest? We run. We what? We run. We make them chase us. It's called protocol endurance. I've been working on it since we heard what happened to those other colonies. We can't fight them ship to ship or gun to gun, but we can do something they won't expect. Lisa felt her heart beating fast. Jake, there are 50,000 people here. Families, children, old people. We can't ask them all to run through the wilderness. We don't ask them all. Most of the civilians go to the underground shelters we built in the mountains. They'll be safe there. But we need volunteers. Adults who can run long distances. Maybe 10,000 people. 10,000 people running from the Kithra? That sounds like suicide. Jake's voice was quiet when he answered. Lisa, do you remember what Danny Martinez said back at Nexus Prime? About humans being persistence hunters? Lisa remembered. She had seen the recording that Katie Morgan sent to all the human colonies. You think it will work? I think it's our only chance. The Kithera are pursuit predators, but they're built for short, fast hunts. They expect their prey to get tired quickly. They've never hunted anything that could run as long as a human. Lisa closed her eyes and tried to think. It was crazy. It was dangerous. It might get everyone killed. But the alternative was to sit and wait to die. Okay, she said. Do it. The next few hours were busy. Jake's Marines spread out across the colony and explained the plan to anyone who would listen. They needed people who could run for long distances. They needed people who were willing to risk their lives to save the colony. Amanda Stone was one of the volunteers. She was a news reporter who had come to New Haven to write stories about life on the frontier. She was young and healthy, and she had run marathons on Earth. Are you sure about this? Her camera operator asked as she put on running shoes and filled a water bottle. I'm sure, Amanda said. This is the biggest story in the galaxy. If it works, everyone needs to know about it. If it doesn't work, well, at least I'll get to see what happens. Steve Parker was another volunteer. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Marines and one of Jake's best officers. He had served in Africa on Earth, where he learned to track animals across long distances. My grandmother was from Kenya, he told his soldiers as they prepared to leave the safety of the base. She used to tell me stories about how her people would hunt antelope by running after them for hours. I never thought I'd get to try it myself. Beth Rodriguez was a major who had grown up in New Mexico. She had spent her childhood running in the desert with her brothers. She knew how to pace herself, how to save energy, and how to keep going when her body wanted to stop. The key is to not go too fast at the beginning, she told the volunteers. Let them think we're easy prey. Let them think they're winning. Then we'll see who gets tired first. When the Kithera ships landed, they brought 10,000 soldiers. Each Kithera was 8 feet tall with gray skin that looked like armor. Their claws were as long as knives and their teeth were sharp as razors. They could breathe a green gas that would kill anything that smelled it. But the most frightening thing about them was their confidence. They moved like they had already won. They had done this hundreds of times before. They would chase the prey until it collapsed, then take what they wanted. The Kithera leader was named War Master Thekvor. He was bigger than the others, and his claws were stained with the blood of creatures from a dozen worlds. He stood on a hill overlooking New Haven and watched the humans running away from the colony. Look how they flee, he said to his officers. Like all prey, they panic when they see true predators. We will catch them before the sun sets. The human volunteers ran through the fields around New Haven. They stayed together in small groups, always keeping the Kithera in sight. Amanda Stone ran with her camera, recording everything that happened. Steve Parker and Beth Rodriguez led groups of Marines and civilians. From orbit, alien ships watched the chase begin. Representatives from dozens of species had come to see what would happen when the galaxy's most feared predators attacked a human colony. They expected it to be over quickly. But something strange started to happen after the first few hours. The humans were still running. They weren't panicking. They weren't falling down from exhaustion. They were running in a steady, controlled way that looked almost easy. The Kithera were still chasing them, but they were breathing harder now. Their perfect formation was starting to spread out as some of them began to slow down. Ambassador Thextel watched from his ship high above the planet. He had come to see how quickly the humans would surrender. Instead, he was seeing something that made no sense to him. How are they still running? He asked his science officer. I don't know, sir. By all our calculations, they should have collapsed from exhaustion hours ago. The Kithera have been chasing them for 8 hours without stopping. On the planet below, War Master Thekvor was starting to worry. His soldiers were getting tired. Some of them were falling behind. The humans were still running at the same steady pace they had started with. How much longer can they keep this up? One of his officers asked. Thekvor didn't know. No prey had ever run this long before. Usually the chase was over in an hour or two, but these humans just kept going. As the sun started to set over New Haven, Amanda Stone looked back at the Kythera soldiers chasing her group. They were still coming, but they looked different now. They were breathing hard. Their perfect formation was broken. Some of them were stumbling. She turned her camera on herself as she continued to run. "This is Amanda Stone reporting from New Haven Colony. We've been running from the Kythera for 10 hours now. I can see them behind us and they're getting tired. I don't think they expected this." Far above, the watching aliens were silent. They were seeing something that challenged everything they thought they knew about predators and prey. The Kythera, the most feared hunters in the galaxy, were losing a chase. The hunt was just beginning. When the sun rose on the second day, everything had changed. Amanda Stone kept running through the rocky hills of New Haven, but now she was smiling. Behind her, the Kythera soldiers who had looked so terrifying yesterday were struggling to keep up. Their breathing was loud and rough. Some of them had stopped chasing altogether and were sitting on rocks trying to catch their breath. "This is Amanda Stone, still reporting from New Haven," she said to her camera as she jogged at an easy pace. "It's been 18 hours since the chase began. The humans are still running. The Kythera are not doing so well." High above the planet, every alien ship in the area was watching. What they saw broke all the rules they thought they knew about hunting and being hunted. Dr. Carol Hayes spoke into her microphone from the safety of her research ship. She was a human scientist who studied how different species behaved. The alien commanders had asked her to explain what was happening on the planet below. "What you're seeing," Dr. Hayes said to the galaxy-wide broadcast, "is something that hasn't happened before in recorded galactic history. The Kythera are pursuit predators, but they evolved to chase prey that would tire quickly. On their home world, most animals can only run fast for short distances before they have to stop." She pointed to the screen showing the chase. "Humans evolved differently. On Earth, we didn't have claws or fangs or thick skin, but we had something else. We could run for days without stopping. Our ancestors would pick a large animal like a deer or even something as big as a horse and just start chasing it. The animal would run away fast, but after a few hours it would be so tired it couldn't run anymore." Ambassador Thexdal listened to Dr. Hayes from his ship. His yellow eyes were wide with disbelief. "This is not possible," he said to his officers. "Pursuit hunting is the most terrible form of predation. If humans could do this, they would be the most feared species in the galaxy." On the planet, War Master Thekfor was learning this lesson the hard way. He had been hunting for over 20 years. He had chased prey across dozens of worlds. Nothing had ever outrun his soldiers before. But these humans just kept going. "How can they still be moving?" he gasped to his second-in-command. The War Master was breathing so hard he could barely speak. His claws dragged on the ground as he tried to keep up with the steady pace of the humans ahead of him. "I don't know, sir," his officer replied. "Our soldiers are collapsing. Half of them can't continue the chase. But the humans look like they could run forever." Steve Parker looked back at the Kythera behind his group. He had been running for almost 20 hours, but he felt good. His grandmother's stories about hunting in Kenya had taught him how to pace himself. Start slow, save energy, and never stop moving. "How are you feeling?" he asked Beth Rodriguez, who was running next to him. "Like I could do this for another day," she said with a grin. "My legs feel fine. My breathing is steady. These Kythera don't know what they got themselves into." Around them, other human volunteers were still running, strong. Some were talking to each other as they jogged. Others were drinking water and eating energy bars. They looked like people out for a morning run, not prey being chased by the galaxy's most dangerous predators. The Kythera, on the other hand, looked like they were dying. Their gray skin was darker with exhaustion. Their breathing was coming. In short, desperate gasps. Their perfect formation had broken apart completely as the weaker ones fell behind. Amanda Stone filmed everything. "The reversal is complete," she reported as she ran backward to get a good shot of the struggling Kythera. "The hunters have become the hunted. The Kythera came here expecting an easy hunt, but they found something they've never encountered before." Dr. Hayes continued her explanation to the galaxy. "Humans can run long distances because of several things that make us different from other species. First, we sweat. Most species cool down by panting, like the Kythera are doing now. But sweating is much more efficient for cooling the body during long exercise. She showed a diagram of human anatomy to her viewers. Second, humans have long legs and a special way of running that saves energy. We can maintain a steady pace for hours. Third, our brains are very good at ignoring pain and discomfort. When a human decides to chase something, we don't give up easily. On his command ship, War Master Thekfor was facing a choice he had never had to make before. His soldiers were failing. The prey was escaping. But worse than that, the prey was not running away anymore. They were circling back. Commander Alex Turner had taken his group of volunteers in a wide circle around the Kythera. Now the humans were coming at them from the sides. The exhausted alien soldiers found themselves surrounded by fresh, energetic humans who looked ready to keep running for days. "War Master," one of his officers said over the radio, "the humans have us surrounded. They're not even breathing hard. What are your orders?" For the first time in his life, Thekfor didn't know what to say. He was supposed to be the hunter. His soldiers were supposed to be the predators. But somehow the roles had switched completely. Captain Nicole Bell led another group of humans as they closed in on a group of Kythera who had collapsed from exhaustion. The alien soldiers were sitting on the ground, their claws dragging in the dirt, their breath coming in painful gasps. "You don't look so scary now," one of the human volunteers said. The Kythera soldier looked up at him with desperate eyes. "How?" he gasped. "How can you still be running? We have been chasing you for a day and a night. You should be dead from exhaustion." Staff Sergeant Maria Santos knelt down next to the exhausted alien. "Because this is what humans do," she said, simply. "We chase things until we catch them. We don't stop, we don't give up, we just keep going until our prey falls down." The Kythera soldier's eyes went wide with terror. You are pursuit predators." "Yes," Maria said, "we are." The word spread quickly through the Kythera forces. The humans were not prey. They were predators. They were the kind of predators that gave nightmares to other predators across the galaxy. Every species that was watching the broadcast fell silent. They were seeing their worst fears come true. Pursuit predators were real, and they were among them. Ambassador Thextile spoke in a whisper to his communications officer. "Send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them we have made a terrible mistake about the humans." "What should I tell them, sir?" Thextile watched as more Kythera soldiers collapsed while the humans continued to run circles around them. "Tell them that humans are not prey. They are the ultimate predators, and we should have listened when they tried to tell us." On the planet below, War Master Thekfor made the most humiliating decision of his career. He ordered his surviving soldiers to retreat to their ships. The great Kythera invasion of New Haven was over. They had been defeated not by superior weapons or stronger soldiers, but by a species that simply refused to stop running. As the Kythera ships lifted off from New Haven, Amanda Stone stood on a hill and watched them go. This is Amanda Stone with a final report from New Haven Colony. The Kythera invasion has failed. The humans have won, not through violence, but by showing the galaxy what it really means to be a persistence predator. She looked directly into her camera. The galaxy thought humans were weak because we don't have claws or fangs. But they forgot to ask about the most dangerous weapon any predator can have: the refusal to give up. The news spread across every world in known space. Humanity was not what anyone had thought. They were something much more frightening than any species with claws or poison or thick armor. They were predators who killed by never stopping the chase. 6 months after the New Haven incident, Katie Morgan walked into the Galactic Council chamber for the first time since the chase that changed everything. But this time, she wasn't walking to a seat in the back corner where the protected species sat. She was walking to the center table where the major powers made their decisions. The chamber was different now. When she entered, every alien in the room turned to look at her. But instead of the kind looks they used to give her, like adults watching a cute child, their eyes were filled with something else: respect and fear. Ambassador Thextile stood up. when Katie approached his section. The big Zalathi, who had once treated humans like pets, now bowed his head slightly. "Ambassador Morgan," he said in his gravelly voice, "we are honored by your presence." Katie sat down at the human table and looked around the room. Representatives from dozens of species were there. The crystalline Vorthak sparkled nervously in their seats. The energy-based luminari flickered more dimly than usual. Even the powerful hegemony delegates, who had never shown fear of anything, seemed uncomfortable. "Let's begin," Katie said simply. The first item on the agenda was a request from the Cathara Empire. Katie had to hide her smile when she saw War Master Thekvor enter the chamber. The great Cathara leader, who had once been the terror of the galaxy, now walked carefully, like he was afraid someone might start chasing him. "The Cathara Empire formally requests a non-aggression treaty with humanity," Thekvor said. His voice was much quieter than it had been 6 months ago. "We acknowledge that we were wrong about the nature of your species. We wish to avoid any future conflicts." Katie nodded. "The humans accept your request. We have no desire to hunt the Cathara, as long as you leave our colonies alone." The word hunt made every alien in the room shift uncomfortably. They all knew what had happened at New Haven. The story had spread to every world in the galaxy. The great Cathara war fleet, defeated not by weapons or shields, but by humans who simply refused to stop running. "We also wish to return the prisoners we took from other colonies," Thekvor continued, "and we will pay compensation for any damage we caused." "That's acceptable," Katie said. She was amazed at how easy this was. 6 months ago, the Cathara wouldn't even talk to humans. Now they were offering to pay for damages they had caused to other species. The next speaker was a delegate from the Rigel Mining Consortium. Before New Haven, they had offered to let humans work in their mines for very low pay, claiming they were being generous to help a weak species. Now they had a different offer. "We would like to propose a joint mining operation in the Kepler system," the delegate said nervously. "Equal partnership, equal profits. We believe human endurance would be very valuable in the deep mines of Kepler 7. Katie smiled. "We'll consider it." Admiral Tony Clark sat in his command chair on the bridge of the UES Relentless and watched the alien ships around him keep their distance. He was leading the largest human fleet ever assembled, but the ships weren't spread out for battle. They were in a casual formation, like they were just taking a peaceful cruise through space. But every alien ship they passed moved out of the way. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "we're getting a message from the Altair Defense Force. They're asking if we need any assistance or supplies." Tony laughed. "Tell them we're fine, we're just passing through." 6 months ago, the Altair Defense Force would have demanded to know why human ships were in their space. Now they were offering to help. The galaxy had learned to be very polite to humans. Dr. Frank Williams stood in front of a packed auditorium on Nexus Prime Station. Every seat was filled with aliens who wanted to understand how they had been so wrong about humanity. His lectures on human evolution were the most popular events on the station. "The key thing to understand," Dr. Williams said to his audience, "is that humans didn't become persistence predators by choice. We evolved that way because we had to. Our ancestors lived in a place where other predators were bigger and stronger than us. So we developed the ability to chase prey over very long distances." A Vorthak delegate raised what might have been a hand. "But how can you run for so long without dying?" "Several reasons," Frank explained. "First, we sweat to cool our bodies. Most species pant to cool down, but sweating works much better during long exercise. Second, our bodies are very efficient at using energy over long periods. Third, our brains are good at ignoring pain and keeping us focused on the goal." An alien in the back row asked, "Are all humans capable of this?" Frank smiled. "Not every human can run a marathon, but most healthy humans can walk or jog for hours without stopping. It's built into our biology. We're all persistence predators, even if we don't think about it that way." The audience was silent for a moment. Then someone asked the question Frank had been expecting. "How many humans are there?" "On Earth?" "About 8 billion. "In the colonies?" "Another 50 million. The silence in the room was complete. Frank could almost see the aliens doing the math in their heads. 8 billion persistence predators, the most dangerous type of hunter in the galaxy, and there were billions of them. On Earth, Miss Helen Davis was teaching her third-grade class about their planet's new place in the galaxy. The children sat on the floor around her as she showed them pictures from the news reports about New Haven. "Why do the aliens look scared of us?" asked Billy Roberts, a boy with messy brown hair. Helen smiled. "Because they finally understand something about humans that they didn't know before. They learned that when humans start chasing something, we don't give up until we catch it." A girl named Lucy raised her hand. "But we're not scary, we're just people." "That's true," Helen said. "We are just people. But sometimes being just people is enough. The aliens used to think that being dangerous meant having big claws or sharp teeth. But they learned that the most dangerous thing of all is never giving up." Billy looked at the picture of human Marines jogging alongside alien diplomats who were struggling to keep up. "Is that why they're afraid?" "They're not exactly afraid," Helen explained. "They're respectful. They understand now that humans are not the weak species they thought we were. We're predators just like they are. But we're a different kind of predator." "What kind?" Lucy asked. Helen looked at her students, these normal children who carried in their genes the same traits that had terrified the galaxy's greatest warriors. "The kind that never stops." Katie Morgan stood once again at the viewing window of Nexus Prime, but this time she wasn't alone. Captain Ryan Brooks, Lucy Adams, Pete Collins, and Danny Martinez stood with her, watching the ships come and go from the docking bays below. "Look at that," Lucy said, pointing to a group of alien dignitaries who were jogging around the station's exercise track. 6 months ago, they could barely walk without getting tired. Now they're trying to build up their endurance. Pete laughed. "Everyone wants to be able to keep up with the humans." "It's not just about keeping up," Katie said. "It's about understanding. The whole galaxy based their ideas about strength and power on who had the biggest claws or the strongest armor. We showed them that real power sometimes means something completely different." Danny nodded toward the news screens around the station. They were showing reports from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Places that had once been considered too dangerous for settlement were now home to thriving human communities. The local predators had learned to avoid areas where humans lived. "The predators on those worlds can sense it somehow," Danny said. "They know we're persistence hunters. It's like they can smell it on us." Ryan smiled. "So what happens now?" Katie looked out at the galaxy beyond the station. Human ships were spreading to new worlds every day. Colonies were being built in places that other species had abandoned as too dangerous. Trade agreements were being signed that treated humans as equals, not charity cases. "Now we do what humans have always done," she said. "We keep moving forward. We explore new places, we learn new things, we meet new people. And if anyone tries to stop us," Lucy asked. Katie's smile was the smile of a predator that knew exactly what it was capable of. "Then we remind them what happens when you start a chase with a species that never learned how to give up." Far below them, a group of young aliens was learning to jog from a human instructor. They were breathing hard and struggling to maintain the pace, but they kept trying. They had learned the most important lesson in the galaxy. When you're dealing with humans, the only way to survive is to never stop moving. The galaxy had learned to fear the persistence of humanity. But more than that, they had learned to respect it, and that changed everything.